Thank you, Deputy President. Today I rise to contribute to the State Taxation Amendments Bill 2023. Before I do so, I'd just like to touch on the budget that came this bill beforehand. As a first-time member, this is the first budget I've been into Parliament to experience, and how exciting it was to have a front row seat in helping to deliver to Southern Metro. It is truly rewarding to be getting on with the job and doing what matters. This bill is an exercise in fiscal responsibility. During the pandemic, we borrowed large sums of money to ensure our state could keep on moving. We did it because it was the right thing to do. Now the task falls to us to repay that debt accumulated during the pandemic. We must take the future into consideration if we are to sensibly tackle this debt, and that's what exactly this bill does. We just took the responsibility of protecting Victorians during the pandemic. We are taking responsibilities for repaying the debt we incurred for the greater good of the state as COVID-19 wrecked through all of our lives. It's part of the COVID-19 debt repayment plan. It's ambitious, no doubt, but we are not to shy away from the commitments to Victorians. Victorians know that there is good debt. There is the sort of debt you buy out for a home, start a business and plan for the future. And as Victorians know, there is bad debt, short-term debt. The short-term debt that you have on a credit card. We must make some tough decisions, but a good government does that, not always what's popular. It does what's right. And what's on our side of the chamber is what we do. We are doing what matters for Victorians. And its core, its bill, which continues to support small businesses and helps grow the Victorian economy while also balancing our debt obligations for the pandemic. The reality is that our pandemic-era debt was necessary, sensible, and helped protect Victorians from the negative impacts, not just the deadly virus, but the economic disaster. An economic disaster that could have left so many Victorians jobless, homeless and worse off. But as necessary as it was, it becomes with a price tag, and the time has come for us to start paying back the money we put on the state's credit card. To help these efforts, our government has developed a comprehensive COVID debt repayment plan. Through this extensive plan, we see a path toward paying back the debt gathered during the pandemic over the next 10 years. This will include a range of measures to invest in Victoria's future prosperity, making it easier by the day for us to pay back our annual bills. Other measures being taken include the Victorian Future Fund, also being discussed in this place, hopefully, today. This bill, but one part of a very large puzzle, but it is a vital piece nonetheless. It contains a package of tax reforms to benefit not just the state finances, but the Victorian community going forward. Because in the Andrews Labor government, we believe in delivering outcomes that offer not just the one benefit to the community, but to multiple. We are introducing temporary and targeted fiscal measures for the next 10 years under this plan in a sensible and considerate way that will benefit our rebounding economy. An economy spurred by record investment in jobs, infrastructure and the things that matter. Ending in 2033, we are introducing 2 new targeted temporary levies that are not just fiscally sensible but reasonable. Around 5% of businesses in Victoria, all of whom hold national payrolls above $10 million a year, will be asked to contribute more payroll tax each year. This levy will be set at 0.5% a year. That's 0.5. Furthermore, businesses with national payrolls above $100 million a year will pay an additional 0.5%. It's estimated to raise about $3.9 billion for the state over 4 years, with this revenue going forward that our COVID debt repayments. It's not hitting our small businesses. This surcharge for the large businesses in our state, the business who did well out of the pandemic, those with a large payroll, businesses that can afford to contribute to the community that benefits from so much. Businesses' profits are up 24% over the last 3 years. That means these businesses not only recovered from the pandemic, but they're thriving. So it's only fair that these businesses that have come out well through the pandemic and maintain a sizable payroll pay a little extra. And there are some voices, Deputy President, that claim this will hurt our mum and dad businesses. This couldn't be further from the truth. We are a government that backs small businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of any healthy local economy. If we are to tackle Victoria's debt, it's important that we work together, and that's mean businesses paying their fair share. That is why the bill provides relief for small businesses and marks modest changes for those who can afford such changes. More than 26,000 businesses will be paying less payroll tax because of our reforms, and around 6,000 will stop paying it altogether. That's not even mentioning the abolition of businesses' insurance duties, which will save businesses around $275 million over 3 years. Our reforms to stamp duty for commercial and industrial land use, something I'm excited to see take place after sitting on the inquiry into land transfer duty fees. The truth is that this government has reduced or cut taxes and charges 64 times since it was first elected in 2014, and the bill continues that tradition. Our bill is lifting the payroll tax-free threshold from $900,000 from next year up to $1 million the year after that. If your business holds a $1 million payroll, this bill will save you over $14.5 grand a year. Just think about that. It's not a war on business. It's a bill written in good spirit of Victorians helping each other as we recover. But of course those opposite will make it out to be a war on business, simply because in that good spirit we are introducing a lever that will impact 5% of businesses and high-value landowners. But it must be stressed that we will help pay down our COVID debt and continue to fund programs and services which help not just the most vulnerable, but every Victorian in one shape or another. When taxes are utilised in an effective way, everyone benefits. And this reflects the values of the Andrews Labor government, which is why these tax arrangements are implemented in such a manner to improve the functioning of tax in this state. From next year, the state's tax-free threshold for general land tax rate is set to reduce to $50,000. Larger land holdings, namely those above $300,000, will see a temporary 0.% increase. It should be noted that it is not going to affect the family home because the Andrews Labor government knows that everyday Victorians don't need any more stress on their bills. It will only be placed on properties and those utilised in such a way that the owners can afford it to give a little bit extra. And it is important to note that these reforms will not hit current owners of industrial or commercial properties. Our broader reforms to duties will not only be subjected to properties after they transact owners. A consultation is also set to open to help with the introduction of these reforms. The bill was crafted cooperative with industry groups and businesses and done in the name of ensuring every Victorian can continue to live their lives in prosperity. The Andrews Labor government does not take any action without first ensuring that experts and stakeholders have their fair say. Any bill that is represented in this place and the other place needs to be represented the needs of the community. This bill is for Victoria and everyone who lives and does business here. This is not a blanket catch-all tax on landowners. The existing land exemptions will continue on primary family homes, residential care facilities, primary production land and so forth. This is a bill we believe that the fiscal measures should be enacted in the best interest of every single Victorian. I think the only thing that the pandemic showed us is that we are a community, a family spanning millions of people. We achieve the best outcomes when we work together, and that's what this is, being mature and measured in solutions to the COVID debt and working together. This is targeted proportionally at those who can pay. The fact that the land value has increased 84% in the last 10 years alone is absolutely staggering. Some Victorians have been lucky enough to benefit from the increase, and we celebrate that. But I am a renter, and I know the struggle of making ends meet. This bill will not upturn these efforts they've made and the hard work they have put in getting where they are today. These tax arrangements are strategic and targeted, while also making swift and effective advancements on reversing the debt we accrued over the past few years. Due to this change is a modest amendment to our tax arrangements, but it still goes a long way in helping repay the COVID debt. The repayment strategy is stretched over 10 years to ensure that tax burden, whatever it is felt, is not punitive but constructive. This is about allowing businesses and Victorians who can afford to pay these new taxes to do so in a way that will not alter their current situation. The temporary levies combined with our offsets, higher tax-free thresholds and scrapping of business insurance duties is altogether set to benefit small businesses doing it tough, and those of us who have fared better will be contributing more to the repayment effort. It goes to the heart of what it means to be Victorian. Victorians all look out for each other, we all help each other when in need, and we make sure everyone has a fair go. This bill is all about balancing these values with the goal of repaying the pandemic-era debt that has occurred, ensuring that Victorians' business and families are not affected by this debt long term. Combined, these temporary levies are set to raise around $8.6 billion over 4 years, improving the state's finances, as mentioned earlier. They will eventually end in 2033 when our COVID debt is paid off in its entirety. They know the bill contains fair measures and strikes the right balance. They showed this with the ballot last November. Victorians vote Labor because they know that they get outcomes like this. They know that when they get a government that covers all bases, a government that creates a fairer Victoria, this is a government that is still committed to making sure our state's economy continues to grow and prosper for years to come for both private and public investment. It's an integral part of our recovery. It's why as I already mentioned, small businesses stand to benefit from these tax amendments. Some of us did better out of the pandemic than others, and it's only fair that those that did better contribute more to our collective repayment efforts. You wouldn't ask someone with a broken leg to run a marathon, and I think all Victorians know that if I think that all Victorians accept that fact, we are compassionate people, and at the end of the day, this budget honours our promises and commitments to the Victorian people and makes modest changes to the tax system to ensure we can pay it back at the cost of protecting us from COVID. As the Treasurer said when delivering the budget, kicking the can down the road is not an option. It is not what we do. We will look at the challenges of our state finances that are facing and work to resolve them. Victorians know the truth. It is the best possible pathway forward, and shown time and time again when this government makes tough decisions, Victorians will support those reforms if they make sense. They understand what mature governments look like, and these reforms do make sense. Victorians we do what's right by our state, not necessarily what's always popular. That's what a government should be dedicated to doing. Our government is going strong. Growth is expected to average around 2.4% a year going forward, with the considerations of the levies and tax changes in this bill. We are bouncing back, no doubt about it. That is the best thing for this state right now, which is also why this repayment is outlined on a very clear timeline. This is not forever. Along with paying back the COVID credit card, the bill makes important administrative and technical changes. It responds to a new legislation framework from the Commonwealth Government around corporate collective investment vehicles and responds to this. It amends the Duties Act 2000, Land Tax Act 2005 and the Payroll Tax 2007 as intended. This bill allows the state to pay back the COVID credit card while ensuring our state's economy continues to grow and improve, to ensure that we continue to bounce back from the pandemic, and I put my support behind this bill. This is what good governance looks like. This will keep us moving forward as a state. Then the Andrews Labor government in action. I commend the bill to the House and recommend my colleagues support it.
Thank you. Ms Ratnam.